So in the last class we discussed about the steps for developing a program. Okay, that was the last discussion that we covered. How we can develop a program or steps involved in developing a program. So in that we discussed different steps for development of a simple problem or simple program. First, we have to define the problem, then we have to solve it, or we have to find out different steps to solve that particular program. Sorry, that particular problem, and then we have to convert that particular idea or steps into the corresponding language, programming language. So we have to type all the instructions by using the language, and then we convert that particular uh, instruction written in any high level or low level language into machine code. If you are writing it in especially in a high level language, so then we have to convert that into machine language and then into some executable file format. And also we need some more steps like, for example, documentation of that program. Then we have to analyze this. Before, after first run, we have to analyze any kind of errors are there or not. And if errors are there, then we have to rectify those errors, which is called as debugging. So that we also discussed. And then at the end, we also have we need to maintain to do some maintenance for this program in order to protect from any external malwares or something or any other kind of variations that can affect your program. So that has to be done. Also, we have to enhance the program. We have to add new features or any other kind of novel ideas if you are including to the program that will improve the efficiency or uh, the applicability of your program. So that has to be done. So we have to improve the program by adding new features into the existing features so that the users will be getting benefited by that particular modification. So updating or improvement or enhancement of your program is also important. That is the last step. Once you document the program and if all the users are ready, if programs are ready to use, then you have to have some kind of maintenance and enhancement of the program. So that we discussed in the last class, and in today's class we will directly start Python. Okay, so what is actually this Python? If you are considering it as by definition, we can say Python is an interpreted, interactive, object-oriented, high-level, general-purpose programming language. So this is just a definition, but you can say Python with some simple language in your own words. That's not a problem. But if you are looking to the definition of this Python, what is exactly this Python is, then we have to say that it is it is a interrupted. So you can write here. I will write that here. So Python, yeah, we will be studying Python in this course, in this particular module. Sorry, in this particular paper. So Python is nothing but an interrupted. So this is Python is an interpreted interactive interpreted, interactive, high level, or I can say after interactive, you can say object oriented, high level. Just make one space in between this. High level purpose. This is high level. So object oriented, high level. Okay, general purpose, general purpose, general purpose programming language. Programming. So Python is nothing but an interpreter that you know we have to use that interpreting uh, interpreter to convert that source code. You know, source code which is written in the high level language. Okay, that is called as source code, and source code has to be converted into an object code. So we have both in this class in this Python. So we have to use that interpreter to convert that particular uh, source code, which is written in high level language, into the machine code. Then only the computer can process that. Okay, so Python is an interpreted interactive, which means that the user can directly uh, interact with the program. So it is very user friendly. So it is interactive, object oriented. We have that object code after conversion of that source code by using the interpreter. We will be getting the object code. So it is object oriented, high level. High level, you know, that is we have two levels of language. This is low level language and high level language. So this will come in high level language. Okay, so this is a high level general purpose programming language. So this is the definition for Python. So Python is an interpreted, interactive, object oriented, high level general purpose programming language. Okay, and if you consider different features of this Python, you can refer to any textbook or any other materials which will list the characteristics of Python or features of Python and all those things. So I'm not going to discuss all those things, but I will list some of them. Okay, so here we can say the Python language, that programming language features. Okay, so we can say it supports functional and structural forms. It supports it supports functional and structured programming methods. Okay, and second one, it is easy to learn. Easy to learn. Okay, which means that easy to learn means it only includes very few keywords that you can remember very easily. Few keywords are there, and symbol structure is having symbol structure. All these things, etc. Many other things, which will make this particular Python language very easy to learn. Okay, and third one is easy to maintain. Easy to maintain. And fourth one, we can say, which can be integrated, or we can say portable. So integrated. We can write it as can be here. It can be, and be like that. So it can be integrated with other languages like C, C++, or any Copra and Java, etc. So with these languages we can integrate this Python. So if you write some program in Python and if you want to combine that particular program with this C or C plus any other program with C by using C language or C plus plus or Java or COM, any language such languages, then you can easily integrate that particular program with these languages. Okay, that is possible. And another important feature is that it is portable. It is portable. Python program language which is portable. What is meant by this? Which means that it can run on wide range of hardware platforms. Okay? So which means that it can run on wide range of hardware. So there should be one hard check this hardware. Okay. Hardware platform. So that is portable means it can run in wide range of hardware platforms, which means that it will be supported by different hardware configurations. Okay, so it is not specific to a particular system. It will be running in many different architecture or many different hardware platforms. If you consider different systems, you can use Python in all such systems. Most of okay, so it can run wide range of hardware platforms. You can use different system configurations. If you are having some laptop which is having some particular configuration, some other device is having some other particular configuration, hardware I'm saying. So in all those cases Python will be supporting in all such kind of hardware platforms. So it can be we can take one program in from one system to another system. It will run in both. Okay, so it will not make much differences because it is having a wide range of hardware platforms. So it will run in all those systems. Okay, that is the meaning of portability or portable, the program Python programming language, which is portable. And then if you consider another feature, which is nothing but the extendable, this Python program can be extendable. So what is this extendable means? You can add low-level modules to Python interpreter. So you can add low-level modules, which means that you can make your own modules and add into this Python interpreter. Python interpreter. So it is easy, which means that you can extend this Python uh, by adding particular uh, modules. We'll discuss about modules later. So if you want to add some new features into this particular a particular program or into your uh, Python, that is possible. So you can add new modules. For example, if you want to add some particular module, say some for addition, if you want to have some particular module, then you can add by using some programs and coding this instructions and all those things. If you write everything perfectly, and if you save it in as a Python file, then you can use it as a module for your Python for the other programs, and you can take the operations in that particular program into any other programs. That we'll discuss about these modules in the upcoming section. Then you'll understand what that means. Okay, so which extendable means you can add new or some low level modules to the Python program, or the system, to this Python interpreter, and you can call it back when it is needed. So we can add new features or some new operations, etc., into that particular Python interpreter, and that can be used later. So that is also possible. And another feature is that it is having very broad standard library. It's having very broad standard library. This also we'll discuss later, which means that we have a wide range of possibilities by using Python. We have different libraries in the Python that can be used for different varieties of applications. We will discuss that also in the upcoming days. So these are the some of the features of this Python programming language. So we considered the first feature is that it supports functional and structured programming methods. We can use different functions, mathematical functions, trigonometric functions, like that. So all those functions we can use structured type uh, programming methods that also we can use. So both will support in this Python. Okay, and then we have this easy to learn, another feature which is easy to learn, which means that the keywords that we use in this particular in Python language, programming language, keywords are some particular strings which are reserved for some particular operations. So these keywords, number of these keywords are less as compared to the other programming languages, and these keywords are also easy to remember. Okay, and also which is having simple structure. If you consider the structure of the program, different loops in these programs, all those things. If you consider loops, for example, for loop or while loop or such things, all those structures are very simple. Okay, so that makes the entire program structure which is very simple. So by means of all these things, we can say that the Python programming is easy to learn. And the third one is easy to maintain. Okay, if once you make the program, once you have finished the program, then you can maintain that program very easily. Okay, without having affected by any external items. This maintenance is very easy as compared to other programming languages. And then we can integrate this language with other languages like C, C++, Copera, Java, etc. So this is another feature, because if you have written something in Python, some long program, then you don't have to. And if you want to run it in some different platform where you have this support, which supports only this C, or if you want to club two very lengthy programs each other, that is possible if you are using Python with C, C++, Cobra, and Java, etc. But if you are considering in some other case, if you consider some other languages, that may not be able to integrate with any other programming language. In such situation, you have to again rewrite the entire program in that particular language. That is not needed here because Python can be integrated with other languages like C, C++, Cobra, Java, COM, etc. Okay, so that is possible. So that is another feature. So you don't have to write the entire program again in that particular language. That is not needed. We can integrate this particular program written in the Python with other languages also. And the other feature is that the portability, which means that it can be the same program which is developed by using Python language can run in wide range of hardware platforms. So it is having very wide range hardware platform support, or like we can say that it can run in wide range of hardware platforms, which simply it means that if you are using a computer with some specific configuration, and if you are running Python program in that particular computer, and mostly it can run in any other computers with some slightly different configurations. So that hardware platforms are not that much affected when you are writing program in Python language. So we can have a wide range of hardware platforms. And the another feature, which is the extendability, or you can extend your program, which means that the program developed by using Python programming language is extendable, which means that you can add new modules to the program. That we will discuss later. You may not able to understand this concept of modules. This is nothing but programs. Okay, these are also programs for some particular task. Okay, so if you consider adding two numbers in a calculator, when we are pressing that plus symbol, that plus is corresponding to addition, right? So we have to, in the same form, we have to set some instructions to add two numbers and save that as a Python file, and then you can use that particular program as a module, and you can import the functions you developed in that particular program, or operations that you have developed in that particular program into any other program by calling that particular program or as a module. Okay, that we will discuss that about that in upcoming sections. And so that is extendable. The program is extendable. And then the last one is broad standard library. It can have a wide range of libraries, which is having large functions, varieties of operations, or the data types and all those things we can have with this Python. Okay. So that these are the some of the important features of Python. If you look into some other reference, you can get more features of Python, also characteristics of Python, and all those things you can get. So this is a very small introduction to this Python language, and we will now directly go into the Python language, because we are not interested in wasting time by explaining what is Python. So these are the some of the important. Look into some other features or characteristics and its development and history, all those things you can get from any source, that is possible. So we directly go to the input and output methods in Python. So now we will go to input and output. First, I will explain the theoretical part. Then we will do some demo. Then you can understand what these theoretical parts, what are the things that we have discussed in theoretical parts more clear. So inputs and outputs. Inputs and outputs method. All right, I should say input and output. Input and output methods in Python. So mostly I will not explain this definition or statements associated with these titles. I will just say what this means. Input and output methods in Python means that how we can give some values into our Python language, our program that we are developing, how we can get some values from the program. That is the input and output method in Python. Okay, so basically Python takes all the inputs as a string. Okay, and input by default will be considered as a string, but to convert it into any other data type, we have to convert the input explicitly. So we have to convert that, or we have to explicitly say that this is this kind of a data type. Okay, then only it will take as that particular class of or data type. So, for example, to convert the input to integer or float value, we have to use the int or float command uh, separately. Okay. So I think before we go to this section, that input and output, first I will explain what is this data types. In what are the different data types used in the Python. while doing this program. So, okay. So, what are the different? So, I will be explaining some of them today because we will be using that in today's class. That's why I'm taking that particular section here. So, remember that these are not the only data types. I will be continuing data types in some other lecture. So, we will be considering some of them. Okay, some of them. So these data types, so I will just write it as, another topic, Python data types. And remember that I will be discussing about some of them. Okay. So Python data types. So if you consider the data types, which are the classification or categorization of data items. Okay. This is data types means that if you want this data types are the classification classification or categorization, you can write that also, categorization of data items, you make this a small I, data items. So if you are classifying or if you are categorizing the data items, okay, into different sets, then you can call all those are data types, different data types which will be used in Python. Okay, so we'll be classifying data types. Different data items into different classes. Okay, so Python supports many of the data types, and I will be discussing one of or three of them. Okay, and in the next class or the class after next one, I will be discussing the remaining, because these three we will be using while explaining the input and output method and the variable, all those things. So some of them I will explain now. So in we have here one is called as scalar type. Okay, scalar type. In this scalar type, we will be having integer. First one is integer. So integer is a data type in Python. Okay. So in integer, we can have both positive or negative whole number. It's nothing but positive or negative whole number, which means that without a fraction, without a fractional part. So all positive and negative numbers, or negative numbers which is without any fractional part. Okay, so without any fractional part can be considered as an integer. Any fractional part, this can be considered as an integer. Okay, for example, I can say, for example, -2, 2, 300, 10,000. All these things are integers, okay, without having any fraction. So when you are considering this integer, you cannot use any comma. Remember that you cannot use any comma as a delimiter. For example, if you consider a number like 10,000 like this with a delimiter as comma, you can see here. So that is not allowed in Python. So we cannot use comma in integer as a delimiter. This is nothing but a delimiter. So we cannot use any comma like this. For example, if you consider some numbers like this, and if you use some commas in between like this, so this is not allowed. As a delimiter, you cannot use comma in the integer data type. But you can, instead of this comma, you can use underscore. So we can use like this as a delimiters. Now you can see this as a 10,000, and you are using delimiter as an underscore. So if you are printing this one, you will get 10,000. So this is a valid form. This is not allowed. Comma you cannot use in an integer as a delimiter. Also, if you are considering the integer data type, okay, the leading zeros in non-zero integers are invalid. Okay, which means that if you are starting like something this or okay, I will write 2020. Okay, this leading zeros which will give you an invalid or an error in your program, because this is not allowed. If you are considering an integer, so it should not start with these zeros. Okay, basically. So leading zeros in non-zeros, the non-zero integer, that is in, you can use 0 0 0 0 0. This is nothing but zero. Okay, you can write it like this. It is not a problem. But if you are using a non-integer, sorry, non-zero integer value like 2020, then you cannot use 3 in front of those numbers. Okay, so the leading zeros in non-zero integers are invalid. This is nothing but leading. You can write it by while I am explaining these things. Otherwise, it will take more time. Okay. So leading zeros in a non-zero integer, non-zero integer, non-zero integer, which is invalid. Okay. So this is an invalid expression. And again, if you consider these integer values in Python, then if you use a command which is nothing but int, stands for integer of something, okay, in bracket, then that will convert the other data types into integer form. Okay. Suppose if you are writing something like int of 5.26 or 24, something like this, which means that you are converting this particular fractional value into an integer value. So when you are converting this into an integer value, you will be getting 5. The fraction will be gone. Fractional part will be gone. Okay, similarly you can write any other data type also inside this bracket. Once you write that inside this bracket and making it as an integer, that will convert that as an integer. So int of something, if you are writing in that bracket, then it will be directly taken as an integer value. So if you are considering int of a or int of x, something like that, int of a, and if you are going to use this a again, then your a will be an integer. So basically this operation int of a will convert the value, this particular a, into an integer value. Okay, so that is the action of this int. So if you want to define any number as an integer, what you have to write, you have to write integer of, let's say, 5 or something. Okay, that is possible. So that is the some of the basics of this integer. And now if you consider another data type, which is the float, and float will be having fractional values. Okay, so any real number, float is nothing but any real number, any real number uh, with a floating point, with a floating point, a floating point, which is called as a float. Okay, which is simply nothing but a fractional component. So this number will be having some fractional part, unlike this integer value. These numbers will be having a fractional part. Okay, and we can also use scientific notation to represent this float. So for example, if you consider 1.55, okay, this is a fractional, this contains fractional part 0.55, you can see, and this number is nothing but a float. Okay, so the float will be having the floating points, number with a floating point, which means that it will be having fractional values with it. Okay, so if you are considering this kind of float, if it is going to exceed any limit, the maximum limit, then you will be getting output as infinity. Okay? If your fractional part of your number, if it is exceeding the limit of the system, and then it will show you an infinite, which means that INF, you will be getting something like this INF, which means that it is going to become infinity. So the fractional part is going to become very large. Number wise, I am saying number wise, for example, 5, 6, 8, etc. If you are including all those numbers after that decimal point, then that will be if the numbers after that fractional point or floating point is very large, numbers is more than the maximum numbers allowed by the system, then it will show the result as an infinite. Okay, infinite. Also, we can have different scientific notations to represent these float values. For example, if you consider 1e3 in your expression, 1e3, which means that this is nothing but 1000. Okay, 1000. 10. You can also use 1e minus 3, which is nothing but 1 by 1000. So these kind of fractional values that we can use as when you are considering this float. So this kind of scientific expressions that we can use, or scientific notation that we can use when you are considering these floating values or float values. And also we have the command float to convert any data type in this bracket into a floating point, a float value, which means that a fractional value. Okay. We can convert any value into a fractional value or float into a float data type by using the command float. As we discussed in the case of integer, we have int of in the bracket, whatever we are writing, it will be converted as integer. And we also have some more class or data type in this particular class, scalar type, that we are not going to discuss today. Maybe tomorrow we will discuss those things. This I have discussed because to show you some of the simulations or program instructions after taking this theoretical part. So in that we will be needing this kind of these numbers. Okay, that's why I explained this, and the remaining things I will explain in the next class. Maybe I will explain one more thing. This is having three more data types in this scalar type, which are complex. One is complex that you can have. The other one is Boolean functions. It comes bool, and then we have none operation. Now, these are data types which we will study in the next class. So that I am not going to discuss today. And another one, another type is that sequence type. Sequence type, and here we are having basically here also we are having three types. Okay, a sequence is an ordered collection of similar or different data types. So this is nothing but ordered collection of similar or different data types. So this is an ordered collection of similar or different data types. So in here we are having three different data types. So we have first strings, okay, string, and the second one is list, and the third one is tuple. So in string, we know that a string value is a collection of one or more characters put in a single or double or triple quote. Okay, this is string is nothing but a value, a string value if you consider, which is nothing but a collection of collection of one or more characters, collection of one or more characters put in a put in a single, double, or triple quotes. Double quotes or triple quotes we can use, or single quotes we can use. This is a string. I will explain about list and tuple in the next class or after that, because we need some different some time to explain this list and tuple. Especially list are very important. Okay, so we will discuss all those things in the upcoming classes. But I am just listing out some of these data types here because we will be using that when we are doing the program after explaining this theoretical part. Okay, so how we can do this input and output in Python? How we can give some values into this program? How we can take some values from the program? That is the meaning of input and output methods in Python. So how we can do that? That we will be discussing first. Okay, so in case of input and output, so I am not going to explain these things. Okay, we can so Python, as I said earlier, Python will be considering all the inputs as string. So first it will be considering, Python takes all the inputs, all the inputs are all the inputs as string. This is by default. Okay, by default. So if you are not specifying your particular value as any of the data type, as I explained just before, otherwise in that case the Python will take it automatically as a string. Okay, so if you want to convert that particular value into any other data type, we have to specify the data type of that particular value that you are entering. Okay, that has to be done. For example, to convert an input into an integer or float value, then we have to use the int of command or float of command like this. This we have to use. Otherwise, the Python will automatically take it as an as string. Okay. So how we can display this output? So okay, first we'll consider the syntax for syntax for input. Syntax is nothing but certain rule, or some particular pattern, or instruction that we have to follow to give some value as an input into the Python program. So in Python language, so we have this syntax for input. For syntax, we can consider the syntax as input, and in this bracket you can have whatever giving. For example, we can say some ABCD here, something. Okay. So this is an optional string, optional string. Okay, that displayed on string. Displayed on string at the time of uh, taking inputs. So as an example, I can say, as an example, if you write name equal to input, enter your name. So this text will come, or this string will come when you are taking that input. So first it will show you this particular enter your name string or text. So you can see this string enter your name, that is a collection of characters. Okay, it includes e n t e r space y o u, all those characters are there. So collection of characters, so we can call this as a string. Okay, you enter your name, these are strings. So these are strings, these are collection of characters, and you can see that this is in the double inverted comma, you can see. Okay, so usually we will use single or double or triple quotes, okay, inverted quotes to represent a string. Okay, so here we are using double quote. This enter your name is now a string. So when you're writing name equal to input enter your name, this enter your name string will appear on the display, and whatever you are entering as a name, it will be considered as equal to this. It will be considered as this name. Okay, so that is how we'll give some input in this Python language. If you are writing program in Python language, okay. So this, if you are considering this integer and float as an input, for example, so let's consider number equal to. In that case, we have syntax like number equal to, and let's say number is equal to int of. Then we have to write. Then you have to write input. Then you have to write input int of input, then enter the number. So in this case also we'll be having this enter the number will be shown as a display, and whatever value you are writing, that will be assigned to this equivalent to this number, assigned to this particular variable number. Okay. I will explain the variable part. It is also coming. Similarly, you can replace this int with a float if you want to enter a floating point, a float value. So in that case, you have to use float instead of int. Okay. So if you're writing int of input, which means that whatever you are writing, whatever you are giving to the program as an input, that will be considered as an integer value. Similarly, if you consider float of input, enter the number, then that case, whatever you are writing or you are giving input, which will be considered as a floating point or floating value, which means that nothing, which means that it is having some fractional part. Okay. And similarly, we can consider the syntax for output. Syntax for output. So, which means that how we can take some data from the program after execution and everything, how we can get that. So, syntax is nothing but print. Okay, just use print to get the data. So, we can have value, print the value in bracket, whatever it is, value or values you can take, and you can separate those values also by using some space or something. Also, you can add some end. I will explain these things when when I do the program. You can understand that. So you can also use some end character. Usually it will be slashing. Okay. So this also we can use some file or flush, all those things. This is the simplest form I am using. There will be some additional features also available for this print. Okay. So these values means any values that you can print from your program, any values you can print. And this separation means that you can separate all these values by some particular character or space. You can also use space. Okay. So this is for separating all those characters or all those values. This is the separation, and then this is the value which is coming at the end. Okay, so this will give you some, you can specify here, specify the value at the at end. So whatever you are printing, whatever you are going to print, at the end, this value will come. So that is the use of this particular index for print. Or if you want, if you don't want to separate those values, if you don't want any character at the end or any such features you don't require, you just want to print the value, then you can stop this bracket at this position. Okay, not only up to this values you can take. So that's all about input and output method in Python. And now we will discuss about variables. Variables. What exactly this? What is meant by these variables? Variables we are talking about in Python. Variables in Python. So a Python variable is a reserved memory location to store values. Python variable, if you consider Python variable is a reserved memory location, reserved memory location to store values. And these variables can be declared by any name. These variables can be declared by any name. Okay. And if you consider these names, there are some rules for naming these variables. So rules for naming variables So here we can have a, I will just make a short note of these things. So the name should start with a letter or underscore. So I will just, it should start with a letter or underscore, which is that this symbol. Okay. So the name that you are giving to the variable must start with a letter or an underscore. And the second one is that in variable in variable name, no special characters are allowed except the underscore. No special characters, like if you are using at or if you are using like this kind of special characters are not allowed except no special characters allowed except underscore. Okay, this one I am saying. So this say. So other than this underscore, you are not allowed any other special characters in naming a variable. Okay. And third rule is that variables are case sensitive. Variables are case sensitive. So if you are writing something in caps lock, in capital letters, that is not equal to the same thing which you have written. For example, if you are considering some variable a, this is not equal to variable a. These are not equal. So these variables are case sensitive. If you have written something in capital words, that will not be equal to the small. So and if you are considering another variable, let's say something like um, some ASD, just I'm writing ASD. So if you are considering this ASD as a variable, and if you are writing it like this with a small letter a, these two are not equal because these variables are case sensitive. So if you are writing it in a capital letter or whether it is in a capital letter or small letter, depending on that, it will be different. Okay, so variables are case sensitive. And the fourth rule for this variable name is that variable names may include numbers, but not at the beginning. Okay? May include, this may include numbers, but not at the beginning. So if you write something, some variable, if you're writing something like 1BC, this is not considered. This is an error. This will give you syntax error. So these variables will not start with a number. You can have BC1, that is allowed. This one is allowed, but this is not allowed because in here the variable is starting with 1, that is not allowed. But you can have variables in any other positions in that particular variable, but not at the starting point. Okay, start at the starting point. We need a letter or underscore, as you know. Okay, and the last one we can consider as a variable name should not be a keyword. Variable name, variable name should not be a keyword. A keyword means these are strings that are uh, what we can say the words which are reserved for some particular operation. Okay, so those words we cannot use. For example, if you are considering for loop, this for is used for that particular action to execute the that kind of loop. Okay, so this for you cannot use as a variable. You cannot take for as like for equal to 5. That is not possible. Okay, we cannot use this kind of, otherwise you can, if you consider while, you cannot use this while as a variable in your program, because while we are using as a loop for giving condition in a loop. Okay, so that is reserved or for this one some particular action. It is already reserved by the language, Python language, so we cannot use those kind of keywords in the program as a variable. That is not allowed. So we cannot use any of these keywords as a variable. So these are the important rules which we have to follow when you are naming a variable. Okay, so how we can declare and use a variable in a program? So declaration and use of variable in program. So in this part we'll discuss how we can declare. For example, we consider declaring variable a. Okay, so in this case we can write a equal to 100, for example, a equal to 100, and then we, if you are taking a print of a, then this a will be getting, you will be getting the value of a as 100 at the output. So this print we are using to take output from the program. This value of a that we have given 100, which is nothing but an integer value. You cannot see any any fractional value point here. So fractional part is not there. So this is nothing but an integer value. Okay, so this will be an integer value. So if you take the print of a, then it will be giving you output as 100. So this is how we can declare a variable. You can assign any value to that particular variable like this. And if you want to redeclare any variable, for example, if you want to have some different value for this a, then you can again write the same variable and write something else, some other value. You can assign that particular variable, and if you print again a, then you will be getting 1000. So you are redeclaring variable here. Same variable in the same variable name, you are redeclaring the same variable. Similarly, you can concatenate. Here we can consider. Okay, so we can also we have another property. We can have, we can concatenate concatenate variables. Concat concatenate variables means that if you are considering, let's say a equal to 100, okay, and if you consider b equal to some x, okay, some x, then if you write print a plus b, then this will give you an error. This will give you an error because you are using a data type integer here, you are using a data type string here. I am writing x here, so this is a string data type, it is nothing but a character. So these two are having different data types, so this will not be, we cannot uh, concatenate because these are different data types. But if you are using same data type, then you can concatenate such variables. For example, if here we are using variable a and variable b, and the values of those variables are 100 and x. Since this 100 is an integer and this x is a string, we cannot concatenate these two. In order to concatenate two variables, meaning the data types must be same. So what we had to do in this case, if you want to print or concatenate these two variables, then we have to consider it as let's consider str of 100. Okay, I forgot to say that this is how we can convert any value into a string, str of something. So str of this 100, or we can say simply, we can say here we can declare the variable itself. So str of a, that is the this variable a, and then plus b. In this time you will be getting output as 100x. Now you are concatenating two variables, which means that you are writing it like this. You can get together both of those variables values together. Okay. So because here we are converting that variable a into string.
പ്ലസ് എക്സിലെന്നാണ് വരിക അങ്ങനെ
എങ്ങനെ?
നമ്മളെ ഓപ്പറേഷൻ എ പ്ലസ് ബി അല്ലേ?
ഇവിടെ കോൺകാറ്റനേഷൻ നടക്കുമ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ സ്ട്രിങ്, രണ്ട് സ്ട്രിങ് ആണ് ആഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. രണ്ട് സ്ട്രിങ്, we are considering this as a string. Here also we are having another string, b is as a string. So variable രണ്ടും കൂടെ ആഡ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, if it is both of these are strings, then we will get 100x. If you are considering it as an integer value, then we will be getting output as the resultant value. Okay, but here we are considering both are strings. Here this x is string, this is a string data type, and this one is integer. Basically this one is integer, so we cannot add these two. But we cannot concatenate these two. But here we, if you are considering this 100, if you are converting that into a string value, for that we are doing str of a. So now this 100 will be considered as a string. This is no longer a number. Okay, so in that case we will be getting output as 100x. We will explain that in while doing the program. Okay, and also we can delete any variable. We can use a del operation, we can say, in order to delete any of the variable in the program. So like delete, and then you can write the variable name, then you can delete that particular variable from your program. Okay, now we will explain these things by using the Python program, so that you will be able to understand that more clearly. Okay, so first we will start with the input and output method in Python. Okay, so I have already opened the IDLE module. You can see here for this Python. So I have installed here my Python. If I search for IDLE, you might not be seeing the screen right now because I have shared only this PPT. So I will just not closing. I will just change the sharing mode. I will be sharing entire screen now. instead of, okay. So let's consider, I will share entire screen so that you can see what is happening. Okay, so now you are seeing the entire screen, right? So I will be opening this IDLE module, which is for execution of the Python program. We have to write the Python program by using this module. So I will send you the link for how link of a video how to that explain how to install this Python and how we can write program and all those things. Or you can get it from online. That is very easy. You can write it in any in YouTube and or any other platform, in Chrome or any others search engines you can use, and then you can get the idea how we can install Python and use it in Windows as well as in Linux. So I'm not going to explain that part, but I have already installed this Python, and we will be having this kind of IDLE module, and from there we will be writing, we will be starting a new one. So and we will be writing the code here, and that has to be run, it has to run, and then we'll show the result. Here we'll be getting that result on it. So first I will show how we can give some input into Python. So we took example like name equal to input, enter your name. Okay, so I will just write that part here. So name. I hope you can see this screen, right? So I hope you can see the screen. Okay. So name, you can write name. So name is now my variable. Name is the variable. Name equal to input in bracket. I have to write, which we can use the. I'm using now. I'm using double quotes. Okay, you can use single quote, double quotes, or triple quote to define a string. So I'm using this double quote and enter your name. You can use any uh, anything inside that string, whatever you are required. So now we are considering as a name, enter your name. So this is the input. So if you are running this program, the module, this is Python will ask me this question, enter your name. This text or this string will come in the display. Okay, that is how we can give input. And whatever you are giving that as that will be assigned as values for this value as for this name corresponding to this variable name. Okay, so let me run this particular. So first I have to save this one. So I will be saving this in this Python folder, and I will just give it as an name as introduction, and I have to use you can take it as a Python file. You can directly give py. So now you can see while running this program. So I actually saved and the running also happened. I will show you again. This is okay. So I will just give some name here. Okay. So that is all. This is just giving some input. It will not give anything output as an output, but it is just giving you the input. So I will again run this program just to show. So I have used this variable name, which is equal to input, enter your name. So I am running this program. So run. Once I run this program, it will ask me to enter the name, enter your name. Okay, this is how we will give input to the program. Okay. So if I write something else, some ABC, something else. So this ABC will be assigned as value of for this variable name. Okay, but we will not get anything from the program because we didn't give any instruction for output. Okay, so how we can we will also give some input like number. Okay, so for example number equal to number equal to um, int of, that is what we have already discussed. So int of input, in input we have to give the first number. Now I will copy this instruction and save it. The next line. So let's consider this as number. Let's say number one, and this is number two. I can use numbers in variable to name a variable at the end. I cannot use one here. Okay, at the initial position I cannot use one, but at the end I can use numbers as a name to these variables. So here if I run now this program, if I run, so I will change this data type into float. If I run this program, then it will ask me, oh, there is some problem here. I think it is, okay, so what is problem here? I think, oh, I missed one bracket, right? Yeah. So this is number one, this is number two. I think I should have one more bracket here. Okay, so this enter first number which is coming in this bracket. I will write this as a second number. So this is the first bracket, and for this input integer value, assigning this as my integer value, integer, so that we have another bracket here. So, okay, so if you run this one, okay, this is enter your name again. First, it will come enter your name. Once you enter your name, like ABC something, then it will ask the first number. So initially, it is running this first instruction. Then it is going to the next instruction. Then it is going to the next instruction. What is that? It is nothing but an interpreter. So this will be running line by line. Okay. So this Python is having this interpreter. So it is converting that high-level language or Python into the machine code by using interpreter. So when you are using interpreter, it will be running line by line. So first it will ask me enter your name. Next it will ask me enter the first name. Okay. So I will be writing first number as one, and the second. Then it will ask. It will go to the next line. Okay. The first instruction is this one, this line. It is over. The second instruction is this one. It is over, and then it will go to this third instruction. So everything is right. Then it will go to the third instruction, and then it will ask me the second number. So I am writing second number as 2. It is over. Now I am giving some input. This is how we will give input. Okay, input method in the Python. How we can give some values as input to the program. Okay, now how we will get these values as an output from the program? For that we have to use the print statement. Okay, so let's say print of, let's say, name, print name. Okay, and also if I want to print the first number, let's consider, so in that case what I had to write, print number 1. Okay, now I will just copy this one and save, sorry, paste it somewhere here, and I will just change this one to 2. So I am printing the second number also. So this is how we will get output from the Python program. Okay, the first one is how we can give input to the programs. Okay, and how we can take values from the program. That is the output method. Okay, that is by using this command print. So we'll run this one. Yeah, so saving that. So first it will ask me name, not a problem, ABC, and then it will ask me the first number one, second number two. Remember that first number is we have designed this first number as integer, okay? And the second number we have given float. Okay, we have defined it as float value. So the second number I have given as 2. Okay, now it will give me the print. So because after this third instruction, it will go to the print statement or instruction. So it will go to the print name, print number one, print number two. So it will give me output as my name, number one, and number two. So let me see whether it is giving. Yes. Okay, you can see here it is printing first one, it is printing name. So this ABC is assigned to the variable. This ABC that I have given, which is assigned as the value of this variable name. So when you are writing print name here, it will be giving me the output or the print as the value assigned to this variable. So here it is assigned as ABC. I have given value which is ABC, that is assigned to variable name. Similarly, in the second instruction, I am giving value 1, which I have defined as an integer value. So I will be getting output as a 1, as you can see here. And the third one, I am assigning this one the under second number. The second number I am defining as a float value. So it will print me a float number, so that it is giving me 2.0. So it will give me some fractional value also. That's why it is because we have defined it as a floating point or a float value or fractional number, so that it will give me 2.0. So here we cannot see that decimal point or fractional part, but here we can see some fractional part because it is a float value now. Okay, so that is the input and output method, how we can get numbers, sorry, how we can get some of the data or anything from the program, how we can uh, give some values or something into the program, that we discussed in this input and output method. Now we'll go to the we can go to the string part. Okay, let me see first. Okay, that's all. So when you are considering this uh, string, as I said, I hope you understood this integer and float. Now you can also print that as a string value. Let's consider it like this. If you are considering, okay, here itself you can see this name is nothing but now it is assigning value as a string, because by default whatever you are giving as an input it will take as a string. So this ABC is a string now. Why? Because we are giving only this input command here, input enter your name. So whatever you are giving, it will be by default it will be taken as a string. Okay, so in Python, if you are not defining your data type uh, properly or explicitly, then the Python program will automatically it will take it as a string value. So here it is name equal to input enter your name. So here for this variable name, the Python will automatically assign whatever you are entering here. It will be assigned as a string. Okay, by default. But if you are providing, if you are giving some, for example, some int value here, int of integer of this input, okay, in that case you are converting whatever you are writing as a enter your name, corresponding to this enter your name, that will be converted as an integer value. Okay, if you are running this one, then it will again ask you this same question, it will show on the display that enter your name. But whenever you are writing this again ABC, when you're writing again this ABC as your name, then now it is going to become as a string. Okay, so this you can see in with the base 10. Okay, so this is considered as an integer. This ABC will be considered as an integer. I think some name integer input your name. So here some problem, invalid literal. Okay, this will not be taken as an integer here. Okay, but you can convert that particular value into some, for example, if you consider uh, you can take it like int of something else. some d, something d equal to int of name. If you want to convert that, then you consider this as your normal string. Okay, now your this one is your string. Here you will be having ABC. So this is your string. So I think some problem is there in the input. I don't know. I think here we have some problem, right? Let me see that. Okay, first we will discuss the string part also. Then we will come to this. I mean variable part. Or you can also convert any such values into this. Let me try this float value. Print the number one. So number one I have here this one. Let me see some d equal to some float of, I don't know whether it is going to work or not, but let's see. Number one. Okay, then I will write here print d. Okay, let me see whether it is going to work or not. So let's see what we see. Okay, now it is. This is okay. First enter the first number. I have given one. Enter the second number. So it is again asking entering. Okay, the second number. Oh, I have given both, right? Oh, sorry. So I don't know. That's it. Okay, so now you can see that this one is this command. This is not required. Okay, okay. So you can see from here, first one I have given enter your name as a string. So that will be nothing but is ABC. Okay, so that is printed as ABC. That is your name. Okay, and then we have the second instruction, that is number one, which is equal to int of input enter the first number. That is this whatever you are entering here, it will be assigned as an integer value. So we will be getting we have given one here as your first number, and we are getting the integer value one. And then what I have done, number two is equal to float of input enter the second number. So I have given second number as 2, but I am not going to print that second number in the program. Instead of that, I am printing d. What is d? D is the float of number 1. Float of number 1 means number 1 is integer of whatever you have written, given here, input as an input. So I have given 1 as input for the number 1. Okay, but here I am converting that particular integer value into float by using this command, and I am printing this d variable. This variable d I am printing. Okay, so this variable d when I am printing, I can get it as a float value 1.0. So initially I have given 1, that is an integer value that is converted into float by using this command. Similarly, you can also convert that any other data type also into integer or any other values. Okay, by using the other commands. For example, if you are giving if you are using this, if you want to print this one as an integer, let me see. So I will give some other variable. Let's say some c equal to uh, what we can read int of number 2, int of number 2. So what is this meaning? I am defining this number 2 as a float value. As you can see from here, you can I have defined this as a float value. Okay, so I am getting the floating point as we can see from here 2. Okay, I am giving 2 as my second number, and I am getting a float value, which is nothing but a fractional number 2.0. Okay, now if you want to convert this fractional value into an integer value instead of float, I need an integer value of the same. then I have to use this command c equal to integer of number 2. Now this integer, this number 2 will be converted to into an integer. Even though we have defined it as a float, it will be converted into an integer. So I will just print just print this what is that, c, right? And also we have we can print this number 2 also, in order to see how it will be like, what changes we made. Okay, so now I will be running this. I'll just give that name as ABC. Let me see whether okay. I hope we can see this window. So here I am having this enter your name. So I am just giving ABC, and then it will ask me first number 1, second number is 2. So the second number we have assigned as a float value. Okay, now you can see this ABC we are getting as an output. ABC is printed, and then 1, then 2.0. Then after that we have given print equal to. After that we have given print as print D. So in print D, what is D? D is the float of number 1. Float of number 1 means number 1 is now my integer value. Is integer value. I am converting that into a float, and I am getting it as a float value 1.0. And the second one is print C. C is nothing but conversion of number 2 into an integer of number 2, integer value of number 2. Number 2 I have defined as a float value, which is nothing but 2.0. That will be converted to an integer by using this command c equal to integer of number 2. So now it will be converted into integer. You can see from here this 2.0 is converted into symbol 2. So now it is going to become a 2 without any fractional part. So in this way we can convert the data types from one data type into another data type. Okay, so this is possible. And if you consider for the string case also it should work. I think we have some problem here. We will check that. Uh, that should come as an integer, but because maybe it is because of that number we have to give, right? That's why. Okay, so you can have a, let's consider in the reverse way. For example, if you want to take it as a string, so then I have to write, for example, C I will be writing as a string, converting into string. This number will be converted into string str of number 2. So number 2 is 2, and it will be converted to string. So let's consider that case. So I have run that program, and then ABC. First number is 1, second number is 2. I am getting ABC. Also, we you can see that the second in the last print C I am getting 2.0. So here I am converting that number 2 into string. Now don't think that this is a number. This is now a string value, where this is not a number. In order to understand that, we can add those things. Both those things. Let's consider something like S equal to let's say C plus number 1. Like, just write it as S equal to number 1, number plus C. Okay, what is my C? C is the string of number 2, which means that I am converting this number 2 into string, and I am saving that value into C, variable C. So if you are running this one, and if you want to take the printout of this S also, like this. So this operation is nothing but the addition of these two. So if you run this one, again we will be having same kind of output. So first I will again give ABC, then first number is 1, second number is 2. Now it will show me error, because the first one is this number 1, which is an integer, but this C, which is no longer a float value, because we converted this this number 2 into a string and stored that value into C. Right now, whatever it is stored in C, it is a string. You cannot add a string with a number. Okay, so that's why we are getting an error here. We cannot use you cannot add a string and an integer. Okay, in that case you have to convert both into a string value and then you can add. Otherwise you can convert both into a number and you can add. That is possible. Okay, so that's how it will work. And now we will discuss some of the thing that we discussed for the variable naming. Let's consider the naming. So we have here, first we had name equal to input enter your name. Now we'll put print also, print name. Okay. Now, as you can see, this name equal to that I am writing here in the first instruction. That is my variable. This name is my variable. Okay, that will get that when you are writing name as my variable. This name it will be assigned. It is assigned some memory location in my system. Okay, so variable, which means that it is nothing but a memory location. It will be assigned or it will be reserved some memory location in the system. Okay, as for that, and whatever value we are giving to in after that equal to uh, or whatever value we are assigning to that particular variable will be stored in that particular memory location. Okay, so if you are writing name equal to input of enter your name, whatever you have given abc, which will be stored in a memory location in the system, which is reserved for this variable name. Okay. Now, if you consider the rules of this variable naming, first we have discussed that the name should start with a letter or underscore. So this name can be, this name of the variable can be start with your I will write some other variables because it is getting confused. So A is equal to input enter your name. Okay. So this name will be saved or which will be stored in variable A. Okay, as a value of variable A. So here in this case, if you start, for example, an underscore like this, that is also valid. Then in that case, I have to replace this one also. And see this, I have to print. I have to give A and with underscore. So if you run this one, you will also ask me enter your name. There is no problem. So I can give ABC because it is valid, and I will get output as ABC. That is printing this one, this variable underscore A. So we can start a variable name with underscore. That is allowed. Okay, and we can also start with variable with a simple letter that we already uh, uh, see. We already discussed about that. And then we have in variable name, no special characters are allowed. For example, if I use some at here, it is a special character. And if you want to print that particular variable, so a at is my variable now. If you want to run this one, then it will directly show me an error. That is an invalid syntax because I cannot use any kind of the special characters in my variable name except the underscore. Okay, and the third one we have discussed is these are case sensitive. For example, if I have written capital A here, so my capital A is my my variable, and that is assigned the value whatever I am entering here as my name. So enter your name, whatever value it is assigned to this variable capital A. If I am going to print this small a, then that is not going to possible. If you run this program, it will ask me the name, enter your name. If I write ABC as my name and enter, and then it will give me an error because this a is small letter, which is small, as and my variable original variable which is written in caps. Okay, it is a capital letter A, this is a small letter A, so you cannot print small letter A as equal to this capital letter A because these are case sensitive. So this A and this A are different. Okay. So if you want to print that one, then you have to make this as also as a capital letter A, then run again this program. Then you can print that ABC as output. Okay. So this will give me ABC, and then you will get output as ABC here, printing that particular A variable A. Okay, and then we discussed the variable names may include numbers but not at the beginning. Okay, if I am writing a1, sorry, 1a, and if I want to print that variable 1a variable 1a value here, so if you run this program, then it will ask, sorry, it will not ask anything because it is an invalid syntax. Okay, because we should not start any variable with numbers. Okay, numbers we should not use any numbers to start these variables, but I can use numbers after the first position. I can use a1, that is allowed. I can use numbers at any other position of the variable. So if I run this one, it is again going to run the same. So I will give some another value now, some let's say some, okay, anyway I will write ABC itself, and then it will be printed. Okay, you can see it will be printed. I will get output a1. So I can use numbers in variable name, but not at the first position, not at the beginning. Okay, and the last one we discussed is the variable name should not be a keyword, right? For example, if I use some for here, for, and here I have to print the same. Okay, so here itself you can see some different color for this for because it is a keyword. If you run this one, this will show me error because for is a keyword. Keyword is nothing but words reserved for some particular operation, so that we cannot use as a variable name. Okay, similarly if you use some other keyword like while, or if you can use if statement. If is another keyword which is used to do for testing these operations. Okay, you can see, you might have seen these things in your programs. If something is happening, then you have to go for some operation. If it is not happening, then you have to go some other operation. So that is conditional statements. So this is if you are giving if as your name for your variable, then also the program will show some error. You will get some error because this if is a keyword that you cannot take that word as your variable name. Okay, so I think we did discussed all those things. Okay, let us consider one more thing. This is my a variable a. Okay, now redeclaration of that variable. Let's consider this is my and variable a. Okay, now again I can redeclare this variable value, like for example a equal to, again I will write the same instruction or same command or same step, let's say this. Okay, and again I will print the same a. Okay, now I will run this one. So first time I will give ABC. First time I will give ABC. Then in that time it will print that value ABC, and next time I will give some other value, let's say FHH, and then I will enter, then it will give me FHH as subject. So which means that initially it is assigned this a variable assigned value which is ABC, and the second time I replaced that value with another this variable value with another some other value, some like fhs, and then it will give me that value. Okay, so which means that we can always redeclare the value of variables at any time, or any step, anywhere in the program. So that is also possible. And the last one we have discussed is the concatenation of variable. Let's consider this A that we already discussed. And if you consider B equal to X, some other variable B here. Let us take this first one as 100. So now it is an integer value, 100 is an integer value. B also we have considered. So now if you run this one, what I will get, it will be first one is 100, that is printed because it is not going to ask anything because we already assigned a equal to 100 and printing a. Okay, so it will not ask anything. And second time you have to enter the value for that b. So that is we are giving just input, enter your name. So it will be the Python by default it will take as a string. As I said earlier, if you are giving some input without specifying the data type, it will automatically take it as a string. Now b is a string value. If you are running this program and it will ask me this, enter your name, it will show, and that value will be assigned to this b. So I will be giving abc here, and it will be a string. Okay, so it will be a string. I think both I have written print a, so that's why it is coming again 100. So again I will run this one. So first time it will print 100, and then I will give ABC, and I will get ABC as output for print B. Okay, so that's all. And if you want to concatenate these two, what we have to do? We have to write print A plus B. You can see from here the print command. So I think this one. Whatever what are the different syntax that is allowed to print values. First, you can give value, suppression, end, end at the end what we need, and file, and this flush. All those things are available. I have just shown you only three. Okay, remaining thing you can catch. Okay, no problem. So this print we can have a plus b. Okay, and now if you run this one, it will again give me 100. 100 is the value of a. I'm just giving 100 a equal to 100 and printing a, so it will not ask me what is value. So the second value it is asking, so I will just write it as a, so it will be taking as a string. So ABC I will give, and then we are getting this error because we are having one integer and the other one is string, so we cannot concatenate these two. And if you want to concatenate these two, then we have to change this the second one that is stored as a string, or you can change the first one into a string. So I will be just changing this one to a string, this b. So I will sorry, a I am going to change to a string value. So str of a. Now a is no longer an integer when it is coming to this part. Now I am running this. So first one is a equal to 100, that is an integer, and then it is asking me second one ABC for b value. So I am having this ABC and I am concatenating these two. Now this 100 is not an integer because I have converted this into a string here, string of a. So this 100 is no longer become an integer. Now I can concatenate these two because both this ABC and 100 are now string. Okay, so that's all we have discussed in this today's class, and in next class we discuss all the data types, and probably we will discuss the different operations, and if time allows we will discuss the maximum uh, possible things which we have to take in this module. So if you are having any doubt you can ask now.